It's nearly been a week since Super Bowl 52, but one question still remains in everyone's mind. Why did Bill Belichick bench Malcolm Butler? Well, I think I might have the answer. Stay tuned. So I know there were a lot of rumors going around that Butler got caught smoking weed or that he missed curfew. Well, just for the purpose of this video, I'm going to ignore them, partially because Belichick and Patricia both said that it was just a personnel-based decision, and additionally, Malcolm Butler came out with an Instagram post that was liked by many Patriots, including, most prominently, Tom Brady, who also commented and showed his support for Malcolm Butler. Now, when I first saw Malcolm Butler crying during the national anthem, I just figured it was some sort of emotional reaction to being back on the big stage or whatever. In fact, you can actually check out my reaction right here. This is an actual video I took while the national anthem was going on.
Hey, Malcolm, let's go! Let's go!
And I probably would have reacted differently had I not been so focused on this homie right here. So anyways, as I was saying, let's talk about the X's and the O's. Why did Bill Belichick bench Malcolm Butler, and what was the strategy behind it? Well, it comes down to one very simple trade-off when it comes to defenses. Size versus speed. Obviously, the bigger your defense is, usually the slower they'll play. The smaller they are, the faster they'll play. Every single week leading up to the Patriots games in the playoffs, what have we been hearing? That the opposing team needs to run the ball effectively in order to beat the Patriots. We saw this with Derrick Henry and the Titans. We saw this with Leonard Fournette and the Jaguars. So it makes perfect sense that Belichick's game plan would revolve around stopping the dual-headed monster of Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount, two very good power backs. And one of the main reasons that a running game is so important to beating New England is that it keeps the clock running and it keeps the ball out of the hands of Tom Brady for most of the game. Bill Belichick knows this, so his game plan going in must have been, hey, let's stop the run, let's stop them from being able to milk the clock, and let's force them to pass with Nick Foles. At the very worst, what'll happen is they'll throw in completions, the clock will stop, it'll give us a lot more time for our offense to be out on the field. And that way, with the offense out on the field, they can play a lot more snaps, they can neutralize that Eagles pass rush by tiring them out. It's a win-win. Time and time again, Belichick has shown us that he's a master strategist, and he often forces offenses into uncomfortable positions that they don't really want to play in. And let me tell you a little story here. We all remember Super Bowl 25 with the Scott Norwood missed field goal and everything. Bill Belichick was defensive coordinator for the Giants during that game. And in that game, the Giants had to go against one of the greatest offenses of all time, led by Jim Kelly, with that prolific Bills passing offense. So Bill Belichick went to his defense and he told them to allow Thurman Thomas to rush for 100 yards. And his strategy was that if the Bills have a run game that keeps working, they're not going to want to move past that. They're going to keep running the ball. And to Belichick, that run offense was much less harmful than that passing offense. So that's kind of the same strategy I see here. Bill Belichick used bigger personnel, more aggressive personnel, and so specifically for Super Bowl 52 here, Bill Belichick's strategy was probably to make Nick Foles realize that Malcolm Butler isn't playing, bait him into throwing the ball, and force Nick Foles to be the one to make the tight throws, to make the good throws, to finish off the Patriots. And unfortunately, that's exactly what Nick Foles did. And I think it's important to point out the liberties that Belichick could take with the Giants were a lot different than the liberties Belichick could have taken last Sunday with the Patriots. That Super Bowl 25 Giants roster was led by Lawrence Taylor, the greatest defensive player in the history of the game. Whereas this Patriots defense was objectively one of the least talented Patriots defenses in recent memory. So Belichick really couldn't get that creative here, and I personally think he was getting a little too cute. So in order to compensate for that dual-headed power-backing duo, Belichick decided to trade off speed for size, and this included making two key personnel moves. One, putting in number 37 Jordan Richards, who allowed an awesome 3 catches on 3 targets for 81 yards. That's right. 3 catches for 81 yards, and putting in Johnson Batamosi, who's mainly a special teams player. And both had their blunders as well, such as Jordan Richards trying to jam Corey Clement on a wheel route even though he's single covering him, as you can clearly see in this play, and Johnson Batamosi missing a key tackle on Nelson Aguilar on 3rd down. And these types of tackles that Malcolm Butler makes all the time. In fact, you know what? Check these clips out. You can clearly see In this clip, Malcolm Butler makes the tackle on Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas, one of the best premier receivers in the league. You can see the exact same route across the field. Malcolm Butler makes the tackle short of the sticks. And then in this clip, you can see the same thing again. He tackles Marquise Lee. He actually forces an incompletion because of how well he covers that route. Strictly based on tackling, Malcolm Butler is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. So why did Bill bench him then? Well, to find the answer, look no further than the AFC Championship game 2 weeks ago. Malcolm Butler was consistently getting run over by blockers on screen passes to Corey Grant. And this was a huge liability. It allowed Corey Grant to get tons and tons and tons of yards, move the Jaguars down the field on clutch third downs. And I actually predicted Corey Clement on the Eagles to have a big game, which he did, just because of the way the Jacksonville Jaguars were able to isolate Corey Grant so effectively against the Patriots. And for this reason, Belichick might have feared that Malcolm Butler would just get outmanned by the bigger receivers that the Philadelphia Eagles have. And so Belichick decided to substitute that speed that Malcolm Butler has for more size and more strength with Jordan Richards, who could probably shed the blocks a little bit more easily. Now, it's still very, very possible that something a little more hidden did actually occur, and I'm actually leaning towards that a little bit. There's a couple of reasons why. First of all, it's described that Butler was actually a game-time decision, and Bill Belichick decided to bench him about half an hour before the game. And we know that because that's when Eric Rowe said he found out he was going to start the game. Which means throughout the game plan, they prepared it as if Butler was going to be the starting cornerback. Another peculiarity is that Butler didn't get put into the game even when the Patriots defense was giving up over 400 yards entering the fourth quarter. You'd think that if the original game plan wasn't going to work out, Belichick would have the wherewithal to put in Butler to adjust like he usually does, but no, he didn't. And that really makes me think there's something else that happened that the media doesn't know about or that Belichick and Butler won't divulge. But regardless, the Philadelphia Eagles played a great game and they deserved to win the Super Bowl. They were just the better team that day. And if you liked what you heard here, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I put in a lot of work into these videos, and it was really painful to go back and watch all that film on the game. Anyways, thanks for watching, and go Pats.